Hi everyone, it's Jenny again. Welcome to Things I Wish I Knew. Today what we're going to be talking about is about living in San Francisco. I don't know if many of you know that I used to live in San Francisco. I went to San Francisco for dental school. I lived there for a good 4 years. And before moving there, I did live close to there, but I didn't live in San Francisco. So there was a lot of things that I didn't know before moving into San Francisco. The first thing is that price of living is very expensive. Of course I knew it was expensive, but I didn't realize how expensive it was. I've referred this to some other videos, but the price of an apartment, having an apartment in San Francisco, is extremely expensive. If you want to live on your own in San Francisco, it's definitely a luxury just because of how expensive it is. So for all of my 4 years, I ended up having a roommate. The first year I had one roommate, and the second year to the fourth year that I lived there, I had 2 other roommates. And this is the only way I was able to kind of save a little money, but even then it was expensive. Not only is housing expensive, but also groceries and restaurants are expensive. Go to the grocery store, you can easily spend $40 on one bag and you don't even get all your groceries. So it's really expensive to eat there as well, and electricity, all that other stuff that goes along with living in an expensive area. So I kind of briefly talked about this. To save money in San Francisco, you have to have roommates or like housemates. I didn't have a roommate, like somebody that lived in my room, but we had an apartment, and we all had our separate bedrooms. That would be a housemate, I guess. So for the first time when I moved in, I didn't know anything. I just kind of moved wherever. And so for the first time, I ended up having my bedroom, the living room be my bedroom. So what we did, we ended up dividing the living room from the dining room, and we put little dividers, and that was my bedroom. It was a little weird. I didn't have much closet space. But it was fine. It worked out for me. All I was doing was studying, nothing crazy. So it worked out nicely. Now, if you want to save money, and this is how I learned the second year when I got my new apartment, was you want to look for in-laws. What is an in-law? An in-law is basically an additional apartment within a house. So I moved for the last 3 years. I moved in San Francisco. I stayed at this place because it was so cheap. It was very inexpensive, and so I lived at this in-law. So it was the house was owned by somebody, and then they made a little separate apartment underneath in their garage. And as you know, in San Francisco, it's like the house stacked up, and then the underneath is the garage. So they just converted their garage into an apartment, which is really nice. I had my own entrance and exit, and nobody was seeing if I came in or out or anything like that. So it was really nice. And that one was a 3-bedroom, and I think can't remember, it was $2,000. It was so cheap. And that's kind of the way you go about getting inexpensive places. Also, what you can think about if you're moving to San Francisco, you don't want to move to smack down the middle of downtown town. That is very expensive. You want to live on the outskirts, either the outskirts of San Francisco or in small areas in San Francisco, like the Mission, close to GlaSalle, Outer Sunset, and in the outskirts like Pacifica, Daly City, areas like that, where it's really easy to commute into the city, which is not too far, but it's also much cheaper, and it could save you quite a chunk of money. This is one thing I learned while looking for apartments in San Francisco, and I think it goes also for New York and possibly even LA, now that LA's prices are so skyrocketing as well. When you go look at apartments, say you go and you look at this apartment, it's ideal, perfect price, everything is set perfect. What you need to do, take your checkbook. If possible, try to sign the contract that same day, because guess what? The next person might be doing that. You don't want to lose that apartment. So you have to be able to have the money right away, have a copy of your credit score, have numbers of people that they can recommend, like your past landlords. So it's just easier. Get the application done that day. Give the deposit, also give that deposit that same day, so nobody else is going to swipe swipe it underneath you. And that would be a very good suggestion if any of you guys are moving to San Francisco, don't have too much time and you're just looking, have your checkbook ready. The second thing is something that didn't really bother me as much because I didn't have one, but having a car is a luxury. So when you decide to move to San Francisco, start thinking, should you part away from your car if you own a car? This is the thing. You find an apartment, there's two things. You can find an apartment without parking, and it's gonna be a hot mess trying to get street parking, or you might have to pay street parking, which is not too expensive, but you still have to pay for it. And it's no guarantee you're gonna be able to find street parking. One thing. Second thing, you get an apartment that includes a garage, and they will charge you so much. They're charging you for rent for your car. Like if you live in San Francisco, it's not worth you driving around in San Francisco because you have to pay for parking wherever you go. It's a mess trying to get anywhere. You're always stuck in traffic. Honestly, transportation is the best way. The next thing I didn't know about San Francisco when I moved there, and I am so amazed that I found out about this while I was living there, is, I don't know if you know, I'm such a big foodie. I love eating, and San Francisco is amazing. Their food is delicious. I still haven't found some restaurants in LA, maybe you guys can point me to it, that can compare to San Francisco, especially this Chinese restaurant called Santong. My favorite. Their wings, delicious. I still haven't found this restaurant in San Francisco that can compare. Their Peruvian food is amazing. Limon is so good. Their Mexican food is very good. I think it's almost, I'm gonna start a fight now. It is almost as good as LA food, I have to say. It's getting there. I still think LA might be a tiny bit better, but it's almost there. And the variety of food is so good. Exactly like LA, the variety of food is so good. Except in San Francisco is a 7x7, so it's easier to get anywhere in San Francisco. Like if you want to eat certain food, it's so easy to get to the other place, 20 minutes away, everywhere. Now, what I said, car is a luxury. Transportation is one of the easiest things to do in San Francisco. They have the BART, the Muni, and it's so easy to get around. You can take the Muni anywhere, the little buses, light rails. You can get anywhere in San Francisco with that. They're not, I would say, they sometimes get stuck. You know, it's like any public transportation. You have to have time to get to places if you take public transportation. Another thing is, it's an easy Uber or Lyft ride anywhere. Quite a few times when I would go out at like nightlife or something like that, I would just take an Uber. It was so much easier just to like pitch in with all my friends for an Uber than to take public transportation sometimes. So it's not even that far anywhere in these places, so why not? And that's kind of the reason why I wouldn't suggest having a car, because you can easily get anywhere with an Uber or Lyft, and you can get like on the BART or the Muni anywhere as well. And flying to SFO or to Oakland International, it's just so easy to do public transportation from either one. You take the BART and then you take the Muni anywhere you live in San Francisco. So either one you go, you can't get lost. Oh, this is its own category because it just was mind-blowing for me. Brunch in San Francisco, it is amazing. I love brunch in San Francisco. I think for the last 2 years that I was living there, I did brunch every single week. I mean, I ended up spending so much money, but I don't regret it because it was so much fun going to brunch with my friends. I do have to say, there's always a line. If you're going to brunch, there's always a line. And I mean, if you go to brunch in any big city, there's always a line, but San Francisco is a lot. It's at least an hour for some of these places. I can't remember the place of the Story Kitchen. It was so good. And there was always an hour and a half wait there. And it's just, that's what it is. Like, you just have to wait. But brunch is so much fun in San Francisco. I just love it. I have to say, while living in San Francisco, I would only go to tourist areas when friends would come and visit me from out of San Francisco. But for the most part, I never did any of the tourist things because there is so much to do. There's so much nightlife. There's so much things to do during the day that I would just find something fun to do. And most of the stuff that I would do is like free. I would go to festivals. I would go to like parks. I would go to the Golden Gate Park. I would walk around. And I mean, that place is so big that you can never not have fun. And there were so many free events. So I went to the zoo when it was free, and then I went to all these other things when they have a free day. And it's just so much fun to do so many things to do in San Francisco and you don't have to pay for it. So that's one thing I would recommend. Never stay at home when you live in San Francisco. If you have nothing to do, just go out, take a walk. It's always so much fun to walk around and find something to do. Or you can look at like events online, like, oh, free events in San Francisco, and there's always a festival, there's always an event happening. The last thing, and this is more of a tourist thing that I didn't know until I moved there, and I didn't realize it until I got super cold, always take layers. And it's crazy they tell you this, but it's so true. I would go in the morning, so where I used to live in Inner Sunset, and it was always foggy and cold, and I could take the Muni to like downtown or somewhere else to the beach, and it was so warm. Or the opposite. So even if it's so close to 7 by 7, if you go from one side to another, the climate is it's so different. So I would suggest always layering up. So anytime I left the house, I would always have a sweater. It didn't matter if it was hot, it was December, I always carried a sweater because I was never sure it was not going to be cold. And so that's it for my San Francisco, what to do when you move to San Francisco. If you have any other questions, please use a comment and ask me any questions. I'm always available to answer. Please subscribe, like, and comment, and see you next time. Thank you. Bye.